Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. This kick-ass game right here is Power Drift, brought to us by Sega in 1988 for the arcade, and ported to the Saturn a decade later as part of the Japan-exclusive Ages series back in 1998. In Power Drift, you pick a racer and one of 5 courses to race. Each course consists of 5 separate tracks that you have to place at least third in to continue on. Each one is really short, and although you do 4 laps per track, the whole race normally doesn't take more than, say, 2 to 3 minutes at the most. The whole thing clips along pretty fast, and you can potentially finish the whole course pretty quickly. I say potentially because Power Drift is extremely challenging. It's not the kind of game that you can just pick up and be good at. It takes quite a while to adjust to the way that the game plays, and you genuinely have to get lucky if you want to consistently place in the top 3. The screen tilts when you turn, so it can be really disorienting until you get used to it. In addition, whenever you collide with anything, it results in a spin out, and sometimes it can take a few seconds to get placed back on the track. When that happens, you're all but guaranteed to lose several valuable positions in the race, and you'll have to work triple as hard to get back to where you were just at. When it all comes together, it's the stuff of legend. When it doesn't, it can be one of the most frustrating games you'll ever play. Sometimes you'll be on a tear, zipping by everyone and winning each race with relative ease, and then one mistake or collision will derail that momentum entirely. There are some really tough tracks late in the game too, with high altitudes and no guardrails to keep you safe from taking long, painful spills down to the pavement. There's not a ton of options at the main menu, but you do get a Grand Prix mode that acts like arcade mode mostly, but adds up points accumulated over the 5 tracks per course to rank you with the other drivers. The Grand Prix mode also has an arranged soundtrack that makes it feel a little different from arcade mode, and it's a nice little bonus. For a game that was already 10 years old when it came out on the Saturn, it looks fantastic here. The scaling looks excellent on the Saturn, and like the Ages version of Outrun, it's a terrific port. There's a good amount of variation in the tracks, and each one has its own music. Speaking of which, the music in this game is some of the best in any Sega arcade game ever. In my opinion, the music here in Power Drift is just as iconic and memorable as the classic tracks in the aforementioned Outrun. And hey, you get 5 different songs to choose from here depending on which set of courses you choose to start off on. Outrun and Super Hang-On had 3 and 4, but the benefit there was that they played no matter which route or course you chose. The controls work pretty well, but there are times where hit detection can be pretty inconsistent. You'll seemingly glide right through obstacles here and there, and other times it'll feel like you weren't anywhere close to hitting something, and yet you'll still pay the price for it. It's a minor annoyance, but it is an issue. Still, the feeling of momentum and speed here in Power Drift is pretty great, and it does an awesome job of bringing that arcade vibe home. Even with its quirks, I cannot recommend Power Drift enough. It'll drive you crazy, but you'll keep coming back. On a personal level, I don't ever want to put out a video on something if I'm no good at it. No one wants to see footage of me crashing over and over again while I talk about how good the game is. I have been practicing Power Drift for quite a while now, and it's become one of my favorite games on the Saturn, period. Unfortunately, it's not a cheap one, and there aren't a ton of other options out there either. Its average asking price hovers around $70 to $100 for a nice copy, and that's a rough asking price for a game that's so bare bones. If you can get over that hurdle, you'll no doubt find that Power Drift is a terrific game and well worth adding to your collection.
As always, guys, I'd like to thank you all for watching, subscribing, and of course commenting. And until next time, stay classic.